This video will go over the general assembly process for the ProForm Cadence LE Ellipticals and other similar models. First, go to my.proform.com on your computer and register your product. This will activate your warranty and ensures priority customer support if assistance is ever needed. Once your product is registered, to assemble your machine, start by identifying the front stabilizer. With a second person, lift the front of the frame and attach the front stabilizer with two M10 by 68mm screws. Make sure that the stabilizer is oriented properly with the larger holes facing the frame. Then, repeat this step with the rear stabilizer, using two M10 by 68mm screws. Be sure to orient the rear stabilizer properly as shown by the sticker. Orient the upright and the top shield as shown, then slide the top shield upwards towards the upright. Be sure not to remove the wire ties on this step. Attach the upright to the frame with four M10 by 20mm screws, an M10 by 70mm bolt, an M10 curved washer, and an M10 lock nut. Do not tighten the screws and the lock nut fully yet. Attach the wire ties in the lower end of the upright to the wire harness as shown. Then pull the upper end of the wire tie to route the wire harness through the upright. Then, slide the top shield downwards to the frame, but do not press the top shield into place yet. Attach the water bottle holder to the upright with two M4 by 15mm screws. Next, identify the left and right handlebars. With the help from a second person, hold the left and right handlebars near the upright. Then, locate the remaining two wire ties inside the upright. Attach these to the pulse wires and pull the pulse wires through the upright as you did before with the wire harness. Be sure not to pinch or damage any wires attached to the left and right handlebars to the upright with two M8 by 77mm bolts and two M8 jam nuts. While a second person holds the console near the upright, plug in the wire harness and the pulse wires into the receptacles on the console. These should just snap into place. Insert the excess wire into the upright, being sure to avoid pinching any wires. Then, attach the console to the upright with four M4 by 16mm screws. Identify the right upper body arm. Slide the upper body arm cover upwards and insert the right upper body arm into the right upper body leg. Attach the upper body arm and the upper body leg with three M8 by 41mm bolts and three M8 jam nuts. Repeat this step for the left upper body arm and leg. Next, slide the pivot axle into the upright as shown. Then, using a plastic bag to keep your fingers clean, apply a generous amount of the included grease to both ends of the pivot axle. Slide the pivot spacer onto each side of the pivot axle. Orient an upper arm spacer as shown and slide it onto the right side of the pivot axle. Then slide the right upper body arm onto the right side of the pivot axle. Repeat these steps for the left side of the elliptical. Tighten an M8 by 25mm screw with an M8 washer into each end of the pivot axle at the same time. Next, slide the upper body arm cover upwards and press on the axle caps onto the upper body arm. Then, slide the upper body arm cover downwards to cover the M8 by 41mm bolts. Repeat these steps on the other side of the elliptical. Identify the right pedal and the right pedal arm and attach the pedal to the pedal arm with 3 M8 by 10mm screws. Attach the left pedal and pedal arm in the same way. Orient a crank arm stud as shown here. With an adjustable wrench, tighten the crank arm stud into the crank arm. You will notice 2 flat sides on the crank arm stud. Use these flat sides with your adjustable wrench to get a good grip on the stud and make sure that it is firmly tightened. Then, tighten an M6 by 8mm set screw into the crank arm and crank arm stud. Repeat these steps for the other side of the elliptical. Apply a small amount of grease to the axle on the right crank arm stud and slide the right pedal arm onto the axle. Next, slide an M10 by 28mm washer onto the M10 by 20mm screw and tighten the screw into the axle. Repeat this step for the left side of the elliptical. Then, press a pedal cap into the right pedal arm. Apply a small amount of grease to an M6 bolt set and attach the upper body leg to the pedal arm as shown here. Finally, tighten the M10 by 20mm screws and the M10 lock nuts attaching the upright onto the frame, and press the top shield into place. Make sure all parts are properly tightened before you turn on and use your machine. Remove the protective film from the hand sensors and the console. It is also important to activate your console to begin using its exclusive features by visiting ifit.com/activate.